Hey, family. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the next edition of Beyond the Boycott. Today is March 18th, and I am Maya Harris, founder of the Womb Network. Yes, this is a slightly different time than I've been doing, but I feel like this is something I can do a little bit better or a little bit easier. So anyway, thanks if you are watching this live or you're watching this in the replay. Shout out, thank you for jumping on and checking it out. Do me a favor before you run off, just make sure that you give me a real quick like, a real quick share, and a real quick subscribe so you don't miss it later on. So, okay. All right. So we are, like I said, on day 18. And why are we here? For those who are checking this out for the first time, because it's in the evening instead of in the morning. Well, the purpose of the Beyond the Boycott series is to, for the next few, you got a couple more weeks left. We got until April 1st. Started this on March 1st. But to every day come to you and share alternatives so that you can make better decisions where you are spending your dollar and helping us make sure that we are keeping our dollars within our communities longer so we have more impact on our direct communities and, of course, on the culture at large. And this kicked off as a response to the February 28th economic boycott. And I know we're in another right now. I think it's the Amazon boycott, and then there's like the Walmart boycott coming and another 24-hour boycott. Look, it's all about lifestyle change. And so whether you're participating in these individual boycotts or you are making a effort to make sure that you are every day making these buying decisions and not supporting companies that we have highlighted on the pro Project 2025, pro Trump, and anti-DEI list, right? We want to make sure that you're getting the places that you know you can shop and spend your money. All right. And so today, y'all, we are going to be focusing on Black-owned banks, right? Black-owned banks. Are there any Black-owned banks in your area? You may know, you may not know, right? And so we want to make sure that you are aware of any Black-owned banks that are in your state, and even the Black-owned banks, even if they're not in your state, how you're able to still have an account at one of these banks. Okay. So if you go back to our list, there really aren't too many banks on our list. There's two actually Cincinnati. I think it's Cincinnati Federal, and then like Harvest Bank or something like Horizon. I don't know. Anyway, they're two smaller regional banks. But I think we can all agree, even some of the bigger banks, even though we are not quite sure where they stand with DEI and so forth, have been known to have issues within the community, right? And so it doesn't mean they're all terrible. They're not. But it is okay to also have your money invested in a bank that is investing in you directly. Okay. So I was really excited because I found, I'm always online scouring the internet looking for resources. And I found a resource this time in a actually pretty surprising space. I wasn't actually expecting to find it here, but I found an article on Business Insider. Now, there were definitely other lists that were provided, but this particular one, guys, gave me 36 Black-owned banks and credit unions across the country, and they're listed by state. All right. So the article is on your screen. The link is on your screen. The link is also in the description. So I don't need to put it in the comments. Just scroll up to the description. You'll be able to click on and find the article there. So let's take a quick look at this article. One thing I do like about the article, and the way it's sorted, like I said, it is sorted by state. So it lets us know which states don't have any banks or credit unions at all, and which states do. It also gives their location. And it also gives us the difference between a Black owned and a Black led bank. And so for each bank, let me scroll back up to where it says, so for each bank, it'll let you know, is this a Black owned bank versus a Black led bank. A Black owned bank has at least 51% ownership, voting stock by us, and a Black led bank has the majority folks of Black folks on their board of directors, or not necessarily ownership. All right, so I thought that was an interesting, qualification there. So let me give you an example. There was here in Alabama, we have Alamerica Bank. There's one branch in Birmingham. They have 10,000 ATMs through Wells Fargo and MoneyPass. So there is a relationship there. They are a Black owned bank, and it also lists the services that you can get at that particular bank. All right. And because they give us all 50 states, I'm not going to go through every single one. All right. So, but we have a few in Alabama. Actually pretty good amount in Alabama. Shout out Alabama. So if your state does not have a bank, it just lists, so example, Alaska, Arizona, there are no Black banks and no Black owned banks or Black led banks or credit unions in those states. All right. And then we have Arkansas. So I want to use Virginia because, that's where I am. I'm going to use Virginia as an example. So I'm going to scroll way down here to get to Virginia. I think it's a really impressive list. The other thing I want to point out with this particular list is it's when it says 36, that means it's counting in each state. So even if there's one bank, like One United is a big, a very, very, very large thing, one of the largest Black owned banks in the country. So if they're in Georgia, but they're also in North Carolina, they're listed more than once. Okay. So it's not necessarily where we have 36 separate banks, but it's just showing us where those banks are. Okay. All right. So I'm going to use Virginia as an example. We're in Tennessee still. There's Texas. All right. So we're going to use Virginia as an example. We have Andrews Federal Credit Union up in Alexandria in Springfield. We have Democracy Federal Credit Union in Alexandria. And we have the Transit Employees Federal Credit Union also in Alexandria, Transportation Federal Credit Union in Alexandria, and then it moves on to Washington State. So, however, I do know that we have a Black-owned credit union in Richmond. It's called the Richmond Heritage Credit Union, right? So that means the list is not complete. That's actually pretty exciting. And that I know that credit union in Richmond has been around a very long time, so not quite sure why they're not on the list, but it was a teacher created and it is a Black-owned credit union. So that means that our credit unions in your state that are not on this list. And so if you look at your list and you see that there's nothing in your area, take the time, do a quick Google search specific to your state or your city and state, and just double check, because there still might be something that's there that's not on this particular list. I think this is a very good list, but it is not a complete list, which is also good to know that there's other banks and credit unions out there for us to be able to make sure that we are investing in. All right. So I love the idea, even if you don't want to completely switch over. I'm happy with I'm happy with my bank. They haven't done anything crazy yet, but I still want to make sure that I have my money invested in a Black bank. So you don't have to switch everything over, but having money invested in a Black bank, there's nothing but positive things that can come out of that. All right. So if you don't want to completely walk away from your bank, just find a Black bank in your area or use one of the larger Black banks that can service you properly from your state. All right. And go ahead and invest. All right. So if you know of some Black banks or credit unions in your city or state, go ahead and put it in the comments. Let us know. You can even go ahead and put it, using the form that I have in the description. Go ahead and put it there as well, so we can talk about it on Friday. But if you do know of a Black bank or credit union in your area, specifically if they're not listed on that article, go ahead and put in the comments. Make sure you put the city and state so we're aware of that as well. Okay. As always, guys, take a minute. If you're a woman-owned minority business, take a minute and go to the Womb Network, click on the different links, check out what we have coming up, especially regarding our April 2nd launch. All right. And our directory that's coming out. There's a couple other really cool things that are coming out. Make sure you check that out. And of course, get on the waiting list so that you can get your free listing in our upcoming directory. Okay. I think I'm gonna do this time. 6:30 is pretty good for me. So I think I'm gonna do this time for the rest of the time that I'll be doing this. Thanks for joining me this evening. And as always, be blessed and be a blessing. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys. Have a great night.